want me to interpret?
Slow.
Emily will.
All right, we are good.
Okay. It's my trip to Bali. So some interesting things that I learned when I got there, I experienced some culture shock. So like my first day teaching, I was wearing shoes in the classroom, and one of the locals walked by and was like, "Take your shoes off, what are you doing?" I was like, "What is going on?" All my shoes, not all my shoes, all my students were so shocked that like they were, and they don't even wear gym shoes. They wear flip-flops. No one really owns gym shoes there. So they were all kind of like, "What is happening?" So then I realized you have to be barefoot in the classroom. I also learned that you can only use your right hand for everything. So even if you're waving to the locals or you're teaching. So for a lot of other volunteers, it was really difficult because if they were left-handed, they had to use their right hand to teach. And for women, we always had to cover our knees and shoulders in front of our students. So like on Thursdays when I would go take my kids swimming at the beach, I would have to wear pants and a t-shirt in the water. And I also learned that the firstborn in every family, if you're a boy, your name is Katut. So there are a lot of people named Katut. For example, this is Katut. He was in charge of our program, Volunteer in Bali. That was me at my ceremony. I didn't always look like that. My students actually bought me these sarongs that I'm wearing, you know, like temples. Here's some pics from some Buddhist temples that we went to. That was our living accommodation. We also went to a monkey rainforest. I got attacked after that picture. We also got to do some other cool stuff, like go to Singapore and Australia. So these are from Bali, and then these two are from Australia, and these are from Singapore. That was the Marina Gardens, and it was actually really interesting to see. It's like this whole light show, and they played. It was right before Christmas, so they played all this Christmas music, and I was just like, I had culture shock going to Singapore because I wasn't used to like how. Well, I was just surprised by how festive it was because I was just so used to in Bali they practice primarily Hinduism, so it was just interesting to see how festive it was. I'm over 36. Oh, okay. So I was really touched by the relationships I was able to form with the locals, and some of my best friends are from Germany and Australia because there were other volunteers there with us. And the entire vibe of our village was just so happy because the locals there are just always so positive. So, I mean, their positivity really is contagious because they're just so laid back about everything, and even the kids, like, I never saw a kid cry about anything. So I wrote that I had a difficult transition because coming home, I love babysitting and I've always loved working with kids, but it's just such a different culture because of how different like American kids are compared to how the kids were in Bali. And here are my students. And that was my farewell ceremony. They serenaded me and it was really cute. And just really quickly, so basically, I feel like I have much more clarity on I have a greater understanding of myself and of the world in general, and I feel like I realized that I'm a lot more independent than I was giving myself credit for, in the sense that like I had to do a lot of things on my own, like navigating the airport and teaching, and like I really have never been in a situation where I've had to meet so many new people and be in a diverse culture, and I just realized how independent I truly was, and I don't think I gave myself enough credit. And I learned how to step outside my comfort zone because I realized how much I actually grew from everything that happened on my trip. So like even parts that were challenging for me, like I think the transition when I had culture shock and had a hard time like bonding with the group at first, I realized how much I grew from that experience. So I just want to keep giving myself the opportunity to step outside my comfort zone because looking back, I wouldn't change the challenging parts because of how much I've grown. And lastly, I want to explore curiosity because before taking a gap year, I knew I wanted to take a gap year because I was curious about what else was out there in the world, and I wanted to expose myself to a diverse environment, and because I opted to do this, I realized that I should continue to opt to explore what I'm curious about because I have no regrets about doing what I did, and I learned so much. The end.